Hello and welcome to the Bones Horror Podcast. This is episode 57, Fear Street. All three of them. Is that a trilogy? It's a trilogy, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, got that one right. So we've had a few weeks off, a bit of a holiday, I suppose. We're all very busy at the moment. So what have I been doing in all that time? Basically working. And watching loads of films. Loads and loads of films. Watching my local football team, which has been great. Getting back to normal on that one. And looking after the kids, because they were all off. So I've got them for the next, 4 weeks, I think? Which is great, really is. So, what have you guys been up to? I know you were busy bee, Larry.
Basically just been like working on some new stuff for like the winter for filming. And then just watching some stuff. And then just some personal bits really. But watch some good stuff. Watch some good stuff recently as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about what we have been watching later on. Ewan. I think I've seen you going to various cinemas, I think.
Yeah, various cinemas. So I've been sort of. I'm now a sort of member of the BFIs. So I've got a paid membership. So I just sort of go along to whatever screenings they're putting on, and it's really fun just like going to cinemas again. I feel like before the pandemic, I took for granted how like great certain cinemas are, and I think the BFI in South Bank is just like top level cinema venue. So yeah, I've been enjoying that, but I've been mainly sort of not doing a whole lot because I'm sort of on holiday at the moment, and I've just been using that time to sort of write this novel that I'm trying to write and sort of get on with watching a lot of TV in order to catch up with what's coming up later this year. So it's been quite nice.
Is there a lot coming out then? Is it like lots of releases on the way?
Yeah, I mean, in both TV and cinema, at least in the autumn, there's just so much coming out this year, and I'll be back at work then, so it'll be quite chaotic, I imagine.
So I presume you've seen Old. Have you?
I haven't, no, actually.
Oh, okay.
Don't.
I haven't. I haven't yet, and I was looking forward to watching it until Larry said that. But that could mean
I'd be curious to watch it.
Don't do it.
I've heard so many divisive things about it.
It's not divisive. People who say it's good.
Does Bruce Willis pop up in it?
No, I mean, look, I can definitely tell you if you would like to know the M. Night Shyamalan's the twist that he always does. But my God, it's not worth it. Don't bother. Don't waste any money.
We love a twist.
It's not a twist.
Come on, Jess. What have you been up to?
Working. Literally, that's it. I don't have
very
days
grey
off.
tonight. You look very grey.
Yeah, I don't have any makeup on. This is just my skin.
The whole background, you're like blending in with the paint. Hey?
the way that
got an alpaca.
An alpaca.
Some colour.
Okay.
Just literally work. I don't really get days off. So, I mean, I had a day off today. Got my second vaccine, so I'm fully vaccinated now.
Oh, nice.
And he bought a lot of Pokemon cards.
Nice.
Just
Pokemon week.
Just a few.
They cost a fortune, though, don't they?
Yeah, I've spent my month's wages. They're gone.
There's a few people I know who would love to see the collection. They're huge Pokemon fans.
I've got more somewhere. I'll have to find them.
So, should we move on to this film?
Three films.
Is it a film? 3 films, yeah. Which, I don't know if we've done
Trilogy.
3 films at once before. That was a lot for me to watch. They were quite long as well, I think.
About 2 hours. About 2 hours a piece.
I've got 330 minutes. Was the last one the shortest?
No, the last one was the longest.
The longest.
It was in 2 parts.
Well, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
I missed a bit.
I thought it was going to be the end, and then it came up saying part 2, and I was really confused because it had felt really long.
Have I missed one?
No. So it was
like
it was
midway.
Fear Street 1666, and then it goes to Fear Street 1994 Part 2.
Yeah.
And that's like the last hour. I think it's an hour of 1666 and then an hour of Fear Street 1994 Part 2.
I quite missed
which is
that,
which was like a mysterious. It was like it was almost like a twist, really. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to return, even though we did return in the second one. So that was technically Part 2. Yeah. In any case, the sort of films were arranged, weren't they, into 1994, 1978, and 1666.
Yeah, and then it finished with a bit of 94. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it goes.
Yeah,
Back
I think
to the
I must have watched it all then. I only watched 3 films.
A better trilogy.
So, film 2019. I think it started in about 2015-16. So, it didn't come out because of the pandemic, I presume, and got bought by Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was. It was first the property of 20th Century Fox, who then got taken over by Disney. And I think the original plan was to release it in cinemas weekly, which it seems like a bizarre idea. I think there were. I think in terms of distribution, they were sort of experimenting with things and just trying to figure out. And they even had a writer's room, which is mainly for which is really only done for television, and they sort of arranged it and try and figure it out. So it was more like a TV, and then eventually Disney sold it to Netflix, I think in August last year, which is a much for this kind of thing, for this kind of like project. It seemed more suitable, I think, for a streaming service. So yeah,
but it kind of made sense, though. I didn't watch them. I just watched them all in a couple of days. I presume Jess did you?
I watched them all today.
I watched 2 yesterday.
You watched them today, Larry?
The last one.
Yeah, I watched all of them
you
today
look drained.
in order.
It's kind of an unwise move. I mean, I watched them on 3 consecutive nights, which I think is probably the best way to watch them.
Well, yeah, because R.L. Stein's like content, I like I think most people can agree. Like if you've grown up reading or watching Goosebumps, like the old 90s Goosebumps, or reading the books, they're good. Like they're so cheesy, but that's kind of what adds to them a little bit. Is that like that adds the fear factor in them? And I know there was Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was the Canadian. I believe it's Canadian. Was like the Canadian kind of sort of like opposing thing to it, but it's just a fucking shame, isn't it?
But it was weird, isn't it? Because it's like because R.L. Stein, who, for those who don't know, all of the original Fear Street books or Shady Side books, he wrote something like 52 books that were set in Shady Side. And the reason why they arranged the writer's room was so they can try and figure out how to make into a thing. And this is another thing which we've talked about before, which in reference to Army of the Dead, where they clearly made it with the intention of making
more
other. I mean, the director, I'm pronouncing her name right, is Lee Yaniak.
Right, that's the bit I meant to do.
All right, sorry.
But that's fine.
When she was interviewed, I think it's by the New York Times, she was talking about how they're going to make TV shows out of it, new movies, maybe even a game, and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, again, and she said there's like loads of Easter eggs planted in throughout all 3 films, and it's that kind of thing we've talked about in the past, where it's that sort of really annoying franchisional mindset, which just kind of thinks about the movies that come after as opposed to the movies that you've got, and I think that is quite detrimental, and it's not. It doesn't really work to these films.
Do you think it will go on to other things? I don't know. I don't think it will. You do?
I think it will.
Yeah, they set it up. I mean, spoilers just in case, but like the end email with I said the end email, but like the email with is it Queen Slayer? or Queen something. I know she's a pivotal role in other novels that come later. Like she's the big bad. Spoilers, sorry if I've just ruined that for everyone, but like, you know,
Who was
if you
Queen
didn't
Slayer?
Yeah, they've been out for a while.
she's so you know you know in the first part, you know the main character's little brother who's on the computer and using up all that AOL. He's speaking to someone online, and then she signs his cast at the end. So basically, she is like the big bad.
Oh, okay.
That they're setting up.
Yeah.
They might change it, but
But,
well, it might not, but that seems the way they're going to go with it.
And I also feel like I know Netflix don't share their viewing figures for anything really. I feel like this trilogy has been quite popular.
It's baffled me. It's baffled me.
Should we?
I've heard people rave about this, going, "Oh my god, have you seen the first part?" And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." When you kill off your best actress in the first 30 seconds, amazing. Wannabe Stranger Things plus it.
This is the thing is that like I mean the first film starts off with Maya Hawke, who's in my opinion like one of a very good up and coming actress,
probably one of the best in this series,
in this particular thing, and it opens with her working in a horror bookshop or a horror shop in a mall, which is like, you know, caked in neon lighting and stuff, and I'm just thinking, this is very Stranger Things season 3, and probably the reason why she was cast in the first place.
There's so many things though that point to Stranger Things, it's unreal.
I can see Uma Thurman's daughter.
Yeah, and
killed her off straight away.
Ethan Hawke's.
Yeah. So I mean, the first scene was like sort of pretty much Scream, wasn't it? So it was kind of, you know, getting the phone call from the killer and eventually being killed. And I mean, most of the promotional material for the movies are just with Maya Hawke, you know, being pulled out from the thing and eventually being killed. It's an interesting thing because all three of these movies take from or sort of pay homage to those old movies from so from the 90s and then from the 70s. Obviously there were no movies in 1666, but they were trying to sort of do a kind of folklorish thing. And the sort of premise is that it's like the towns of Shadyside and Sunnyside, there's their rival towns. One is rich and one is poorer, and one of them is cursed.
Pardon me.
And has a whole mythology around a witch in 1666 who was killed and put a curse on the town.
That just led me to the twist. I sent Ewan a video when I thought I guessed it. Yeah, I did. I thought I guessed it. I was like, wait. And then when it revealed it, I was like, oh, fuck off. I was just like, I was like, this can sum up my approval. This was one of my notes.
It's back again. It goes back to
That's meant to say shit. Yeah? Hang on.
Wait, that wasn't back to front, was it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It was.
I've wrote it both ways. That's backwards to me.
There we go.
Oh no, right. I wrote it the right way the first time.
Yeah.
There you go.
For our audio listeners,
I put up a sign saying shit.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, one backwards,
one reversed, one not. Just in case, unless you're going off Tennant's rules.
Yeah, but it's funny, really, because I mean, you're mentioning Stranger Things in that this series, it's strange the sort of decisions they make. It's like there were several conversations in which they said, "Okay, is this too much like Stranger Things? No. Is this too much like Stranger Things? Yeah, so we won't do it." So they've avoided the 80s entirely, so that they can almost like pretend that they're not taking off Stranger Things.
I wrote a load of notes. Trust me,
yeah.
I got a lot of notes.
So obviously, in terms of casting, there's Maya Hawke, and there's also Sadie Sink, who's in the second one, who plays Max in Stranger Things.
She had. Before we get on to like obviously like part 2 and stuff,
I want to do my rotten scores in a minute, please. I've got to do them at some point. There'll be people out there going, why has Kev not done any actors? directors.
Go for it. I'll save it. It's
how
in my
much it
notes. It's in my
cost,
notes. It's
all
in my
the
notes.
things.
Go for it.
No, because I don't know how much it was, so we can't talk about that. But I have got 3
No.
individual Rotten Tomato scores, and they
Oh,
did surprise me. So
They're all going to be
1994,
positive.
right? Which wasn't my favourite. Okay,
no.
so what do you reckon?
I reckon it'll be 68.
Okay,
No, I reckon it'll be higher. I reckon it'll be like 84.
Ooh,
Some
close.
bullshit.
close.
I'm close, aren't I?
Jess, you are very, Jess.
Yeah, I know.
He's very close.
Oh,
Is this just the first one, or
Yeah, just the
Jess, go
first
higher.
one.
First
Jess, go higher.
I'd
go
go
higher.
lower.
I'm
I'd
going
go
to say
currently
like
lower.
85,
go-
90.
85, 90.
Go on.
She said 85, 90. She said, I think.
82.
85.
82.
82.
So my favourite of the 3 was 1978. Only
Yeah, that was my favourite.
I was
That
alive
was the
then.
second one,
I was
wasn't
alive.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you reckon on that one?
Jesus.
Considering that one was 82.
I reckon it'll be
What?
higher. I reckon it'll be in the 90s.
Right, tomorrow.
Yeah.
reckon
No,
92.
I don't. I reckon that weird audiences will go, nah, this one was shit. 75.
61.
What?
You're all delusional, audience. What is going on? And let me guess, part 3. Part 3 goes
100.
up.
I can
No,
see
part
the
3
first
goes
number.
up.
Yeah.
Part
So
3
my
goes up.
Yeah.
My monitor is covering up the second number. I can see the first one, and I don't understand.
90. It's going to be 90 something, isn't
It
it?
is
90.
90.
Is it 90?
Yeah, no, I can see it. I'm looking around my monitor, like seeing the rest of the number. Jesus.
If I had my drink funnel, I'd finish my drink in the funnel. You know what? I could go get the drink funnel.
I haven't seen you this rattled. What was it that got you rattled before that we watched? Was it Insidious?
The Conjuring,
Was it?
which is quite similar.
Conjuring Part 2 was the one.
Which again, it's actually interesting that it's actually interesting that because it also takes a similar model, like similar business model that The Conjuring takes, in that The Conjuring wants to create a sort of whole cinematic universe around this horror thing, and I think Fear Street is trying to do the same.
Did you want to know something? It wasn't that did it for me. If I can give The Conjuring 2, and this is very rare, if I can give The Conjuring 2 some boost, is that James Wan, who obviously like created the film, started that kind of franchise and directed it. He's a competent director. You can watch The Conjuring 2 and go, I'm watching a pretty good film. And then it's really down to like what kind of horror you want to watch and what you feel towards what some people love slashers, some people love vampires, whatever. With this, there were too many moments where I was watching it and I literally wanted to, I think I wrote to you at one point, tear my fucking eyes out. Because there were too many moments in this pissing film. This part 1 was the worst.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it. It felt like someone had watched Scream and Halloween and had gone, how do we do it? And what annoys me is that if you watch, and a lot of people probably haven't seen this, obviously, but if you watch Goosebumps, the newest Goosebumps film, R.L. Stine worked on that, and he has a very weird obsession with putting in loads of jabs at Stephen King. But in Goosebumps, it was funny because you're watching Jack Black play R.L. Stine, and he's meant to be like, oh, fuck Stephen King. In this film, they're like, oh, Stephen King, fucking Carrie.
Yeah.
Say Salem's Lot. I fucking love that film. It's like they are better films that I'd rather be watching.
Yeah.
Yes, R.L. Stine.
I tell you what, I was annoyed at that scene because like it's basically talking about Carrie and Salem's Lot, and the sort of love interest boy goes to the girl. Yeah, Carrie's my favorite. Is my second favorite after Salem's Lot in terms of books, and it's like. The Shining came out by that point. I'm like, that's a much better book than both of them. And I know that's like a very specific point of view, but it annoyed me anyway. But it's like, but the thing is that it's quite interesting. Is that I actually was all right with a lot of the
Part two.
well, no, just in terms of like the directing, I was actually okay with a lot of that. I actually liked it more than Lawrence did, but it's the writing which was really at
Well,
fault.
yeah, I've got that in my notes as well. Like I've got literally it says, hold on, let me find it amongst this fucking negativity. Yeah, no, I've literally put like sound is fine despite ADR in terrible moments. No, there is one scene, and I can point it out to you if you want to go back and just make sure that I'm not going batshit. There is a scene in part one where they come out of the hospital and they need to run away, and the boyfriend character is like, let's leg it, let's run. And clearly the original scene was meant to be that it cuts there and then they come back with the ambulance for the friend to say, we can't steal this ambulance. But I feel like someone watched it and went, no one's going to get this. No one's going to get why they show up with an ambulance. So just watch that scene again, everybody, and just watch the friend's mouth as it doesn't move, and you hear a line of dialogue go, we need to get an ambulance.
I did notice a few things that happened.
It's just it's little things like that where it's just like, what's going on? But yeah, no, I did put like the shots and like, you know, the actual cinematography of the piece and the lighting. That's not bad. But when you have, as Ewan's going to probably go into in a second, when you have writing that is just, again, I said this to Kevin and to Ewan before, Jess, you came into this, but there is a line of dialogue in this film, and I've wrote it down in big, and it's not going to be backwards for you guys now, but it just says,
oh, yeah,
when she puked, period, on me.
Yeah. And this is... yeah, I mean, this is the thing.
Who cares? Whatever. Like, you know, whatever. Yeah. We're going on a ride with this trilogy.
Because there are so many things here. Like, I mean, first of all, it's not... It's surprisingly unfunny. And the thing is, it's surprisingly unfunny, which is strange, because it's clearly... I mean, it's so... I mean, clearly trying to pay homage to all these horror films that came before it. And there's no... There are bits where they're clearly trying to be funny. I think I laughed once in the entire trilogy. I can't remember what the joke was, but it's sort of like it was strange. But it was also not that scary either. I mean, you got I don't know, something like, I think in all three films you had to get to the final act before you saw even a drop of blood. I'm not saying I'm craving for that, but because they're taking the films, you know, essentially, pre-torture porn or during torture porn, I feel like that should be a given. But also, it's really strange because it's so strange that they were sort of designed to be movies as opposed to a TV series. Because I feel like if it was a TV series, you get a lot more out of it, and you can't. As someone who hasn't read any R.L. Stine at all, except for maybe the odd Goosebumps story when I was like 10 or something. Yeah. But other than that, it's kind of like, because I don't know, I didn't know prior to watching the relationship between Shady Side and Sunny Side. I only got what I was given, sort of thing, and it was sort of like, why am I meant to care about these two rival towns?
Well, they give you the premise, but they give you this is what annoyed me. They give you the answer in the first 15 minutes of the film, where after the intro sequence, they literally go, "Oh yeah, do you remember that witch who was burnt and she set a curse on this town?" And it's like, great, fantastic. And then you watch the first one, and you're like, "Oh, okay. There's got to be something." You watch the second one, which has a more enticing plot and definitely better characters, where you actually give a shit. But by the end of that one, you're dragged back into this olden era, which I hate it when films do this. When you have the same cast play the older versions.
I really hated that.
It's just so bugging.
Can you imagine how confused I was? Can you imagine? Do you know what I mean?
This is what pissed me off, is that like they try and do it as like a really big twist, and Ewan had set me up for this, so I wasn't that disappointed, but he had told me that the twist was not good. And so by the time you get to the third one, and it's spoilers, revealed that it's the one good character, but they ruin that in the second one anyway, because he tells this girl, who's the main character of that piece, that like, I believe you, I'm different, I'm so different, I'm on your side. And then at the end, he just turns in front of the screen, is like, nah, she's chatting shit.
Yeah,
It's like what?
But it's also
clearly you're up to something, and it's just like that gives it away.
But it's also it's really not. Again, I sort of go back to the fact it would have been better as a TV series. A lot of that wasn't built up well at all.
No, not at all.
Like especially in the first film, you just sort of get him as a policeman. You sort of see him for a few
he's
scenes.
The sheriff. He's the sheriff of the town.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I feel like also they were trying to jump into being like Stranger Things 2, right? They were trying to sort of jump in immediately with the fact that this is a group of friends who are sort of instantly connected. It's like sort of, I don't know, like the non-extended version of Justice League, where they just try and bring loads of people together. But and there's another problem, is that I don't feel any connection with any of these characters, either between each other or as individuals.
Well, so one of my biggest issues with part one was, and you know, please feel free if anyone disagrees with me on this, but with part one, I felt like it was trying to be It Chapter 1, but what they failed massively is that when everyone here has seen It Chapter 1, the newer version, right? Yep. So when the first kid dies, you know, first kid that
Georgie.
we see, but like first kid that we see, obviously, like there's been others.
Yeah,
the kids care, but they are kids living their life in school with bullies and with everything else. So the swearing and everything. But when they see the missing posters, it all becomes slightly real. It's like, shit, you know, I think her name's Jenny Benson. They're like, Jenny Benson, she's been missing for God knows how long. And it turns serious. In this film, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like, the Maya Hawke dies, and everyone's like, well, the witch dragged her soul to hell. And everyone's like, oh, great, that was your friend. And then they go to a ceremony, and all of the people who are there for the ceremony are like, oh, we don't even want to be here. Fuck this. And then the next scene after, they're on a bus and they're chanting like, fuck the other guys. They didn't care about Maya Hawke. And it's like, you didn't care. You were in a bathroom that had writing over it that said basically like, the witch will drag your soul. Yeah. I don't know. I feel as though whoever made this had watched It Chapter 1 and had watched, you know, just they had watched it and gone, oh, that dynamic of the friends, the kids who swear, you know, that they're youngins and they swear. But again, that dynamic works because they're really, really young kids in like the first or second year. It's weird thinking how it works in America, but like, they're basically very young in school, in high school. And so the idea of hearing them swear and stuff, us as an audience go like, yeah, we can relate. When we were younger, we used to like swear to our friends. When it's teenagers and it just comes off so cringy because they're like, yeah, fuck the so-and-so. And there's a guy who wears the boyfriend at one point when they're doing the police interview. And I don't know what it is, but there's a scene where he's just staring at the screen. He's like, fuck you, pig. And it's like, no one cares about that anymore. Like, that's not cool. Like, that's just very cringe.
And it's also really weird because it also shortchanges like the sort of, in order to give like some positivity, it sort of shortchanges the sort of good innovations that were made about the character. So, for example, because horror is such a kind of like traditionally, it's very white and very sort of heterosexual, whereas in this film, it's the main character is black and she's queer, and I think that's that's a good thing. But everything else around it just doesn't
But
work.
my opposition to you on this is: did they not just watch Stranger Things season 3 and look at Maya
Very
Hawke's
possibly.
character,
Very
and
possibly.
then go, "Oh wait, she is in that role," and then they went, "Oh no, did we want to cast Maya Hawke in that role?" And then they went, "Nah, that's too blatant.
Yeah.
Put her in the first bit, we kill her off." And then we have the main character take up her role. And that to me is just, it's so obvious that they watched Stranger Things and It one after the other and went.
But it was also difficult because with the third one, so with 1666, so it goes back in time to a sort of a little community of what is it, Puritan sort of era,
Yeah,
or Pilgrim era, something like that.
It's basically the witch. Yeah, it's literally the witch era.
I could understand what they were saying though, because in the witch I couldn't.
Yeah. But the thing is, but the funny thing is,
different lingo, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
But the accents, Kevin.
No, but it's not even that though. It's not even that though. Like Robert Eggers. But Robert Eggers when he creates like even the Lighthouse or the Witch or the Northman, as I imagine he will, he's very on point. He wants it to be like, oh, this is how they spoke. This is the folklore. When I watch this, I can excuse the language. I can excuse that. But when I see characters just popping up where I'm like, you were in season 2. Oh no, wait, you're in season 1.
Yeah.
And then they're just popping up like, oh, I'm meant to embody that character. I was like, just go away.
But it's also a weird tonal shift, right? Because it's like because I feel like the first 2 were basically silly homages and just trying to sort of have fun in these genres, in this genre of horror, right? Whereas in this one, even though they are doing that, they're also going into some quite serious subject matter about women who lesbian women who are then the community wants to hang them because of their identity and everything like that, and that's a very serious tonal shift to the point where it felt quite uncomfortable. And I've there was an Amazon Prime series that came out early in this year called Them, which was it was quite a controversial horror series which sort of centered around black trauma, and it's set in the 50s in the suburbs, and this black family move into this very white community, and the white community kind of shuns them, and it's quite interesting with Fear Street because it kind of applies a similar direction where it then traces the history and finds like a curse of that stuff. But with that series, it's all built up, and the severity of it is built up. A lot of people didn't like it, and that's fine, but I feel like there's like an explanation for that. But with Fear Street, it goes straight into that very politically sensitive area. And I don't know, I felt very uncomfortable that we just went from essentially what's very silly to something that's very serious. And I don't know if they thought about it entirely correctly.
Again, like this is kind of verging off from that, so it's not the same thing, but I felt the same kind of like intensity with the main character. In the first part, you've got a main character that you want your audience to at least connect with, and they do the twist of like, oh, she's writing letters that are like fuck Sam, and you're like, oh, is Sam the jock? And they do that twist where they're like, it's not the jock. And when it did that, I was like, okay, but they don't do themselves any favors. There are so many things listed where they're like, the main character just isn't likable, and that might just be me. But there are so many things where they paint her out to be like, you are in the wrong. The blonde the brunette girl. So she basically like they make it out as if like she's been dumped by the jock, but then they twist it and they're like, okay, it's not the jock. It's the girl, and it's like, okay, nice twist. Let's build up upon that. But then they're like, no. The brunette girl you broke up with me, and I'm leaving because and the blonde girl's like, I had to leave this town because my parents divorced. Anyone would go, that's a pretty reasonable excuse. Like your parents divorced, and and then she's broke. Okay, and yet the other girl's just like, you're you're a fucking dick. And it's like, oh, cool, I do not like you. Like, you're just being an ass. And then, like, at the hospital, she goes to the hospital where she's caused an accident. Like, she full on throws an ice bucket at a car. And she's there like, you're a dick. Your boyfriend's just a dick. And it's like, okay, I don't back you. And what annoys me is the plot doesn't do anything smart about it. It doesn't go like, how do we twist the expectations? It just goes, nah, the jock's dead. So it wasn't the jock. You're wrong. Now buy these two's relationship. And it's like, I don't know, if I was the blonde-haired girl, like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd be like, you're being pretty fucking shitty. I'd be like, you threw an ice bucket at me.
I mean, as you say, I mean, it would be somewhat redeemable if there was something. The thing is that I don't know if I just didn't really find anything about the character which I not even like, just sort of was interested in. I don't even think I was that interested in her character. And it's also that thing where there was no... I felt like there was no build-up of who she was. There was no depth. And I feel like when you're going to make stuff like that today and you're going to pay homage to stuff like that, you have to sort of build up your characters well, especially with like... Since like Lord of the Rings, I think fantasy of any kind has been more character based and more sort of emotional, and I think that's where Stranger Things does it so perfectly, is because the characters are so well built. Again, because of the fact that it's a series, they were able to do that, and yet they were able to accommodate the elements that made horror films of the 80s so exciting. Whereas here, it's like they just rush into to get it over with.
Well, Stranger Things as well. Like, going on your point, Stranger Things doesn't just wholeheartedly rip off, slasher films and horror films. It pays homage to them, where you see certain things and you're like, oh, this reminds me of, but it's a separate thing. Like, I know I haven't seen something where there's an upside down sort of universe. Like, yeah, you could go into like, multiverse stuff, but like that done like that, no. And it just pays homage to it. Whereas, like even them on the bikes, riding the bikes, it's like it.
Yeah.
It does pay homage to it, but you never look at that and go, oh, this is copying it. Whereas this film, there is a scene where there's two characters in part one that flick the lights to communicate. And I was like, oh yeah, so just like the scene in Halloween where they are across the street from each other and they're on the phone and they say like, oh yeah, look, I'm over here, I'm doing good. I was like, it doesn't, if you like horror, it doesn't, it's not going to get past everyone. And what annoys me is that this could have been made, like you said, if it had been a series and they had really concentrated on it and paced it and made it like, oh, each episode is a cliffhanger where you think what's going to happen next. And yet they've decided to kind of just go like, oh, here's 3 films, and apparently audiences are eating it up, which I don't want to sound bad, but like,
so we're running into 40 minutes. We're on the we have brushed upon the second and third ones, really, haven't we? But we have spoke a fair bit about the first one, and obviously I'm aware of the time, and I don't want to go on for hours. The second one was Ziggy. So she was from Stranger Things, yeah?
Yeah.
Was she
came
in the first
Stranger
one?
Things too.
She wasn't in the
third.
She's in the second film and the third.
She is in the third film briefly, again, as a kind of,
the second she's
times.
in a lot. Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Stranger Things. She's in series 3 of Stranger Things.
And two.
Is she in 2?
Yeah. She's introduced in 2, and then she continues in 3, I think. Because you remember, she kisses what's his face at the end in the prom scene at the end of 2.
Yeah, that is 2.
That is 2.
No,
yeah.
Wait, is that her though? No,
it is. It is her. Yeah.
Is she only introduced in the ending?
No. She's introduced because she. It's quite funny. She's introduced because she's like the best time or something on the arcade game. And everyone's like wondering who Max is, and there's Max is a guy.
Yeah, it's because in 3 her role is way more prominent from the beginning. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
It starts off. Sorry, I thought that started off quite it was quite brutal for children what they were doing to her. They had her strung up,
Yeah.
Oh, I wrote a note of this.
Being
I wrote a note
bullied.
of this.
and being
Where's my
burnt.
note?
Now, there was a scene a bit later on. Is it Ziggy sucks cocks in hell? Which is a kind of a thing
Yeah,
to
Evil
the
Dead.
Exorcist.
Evil.
No, it's Exorcist, isn't it? And Evil Dead, is it?
Exorcist and Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Your mother
I
sucks
actually,
cocks in
that
hell.
amused me. I thought it was quite funny.
Quoting.
Yeah. That
was the only thing I found funny, I think.
Yeah.
For that. Although
Well,
it was,
I found it funny that so as Kev's just explained, the character is hung up like by a tree basically, and she is basically like accused of being like the witch, and they go to burn her physically with a lighter.
yeah.
And you watch that and you're like, shit. Okay. And then later, the girl who did that to her is trapped in a toilet with some bugs, and she goes mental. And I was there thinking, juxtaposed to being burnt with a lighter and tied to a tree.
Yeah.
If I was the I forget her name, but if I was the, let's just call it Ziggy,
Yeah.
I'd be like, step off. I'd be like, you burnt me with a fucking lighter. It's like, I put bugs in your hair.
Yeah.
It's like nothing compared. Nothing.
That was
compared.
brutal. That was quite a brutal scene, really. I didn't know how far that was going to carry on once she started burning her, and they're all going along with it.
Yeah.
It's a very minuscule burn.
It's like on the
Still.
arm. Yeah.
It's literally just like a, oh, yeah, and then it cuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but it would have
But
hurt
it's-
for quite a while. I would have.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, it hurt. But like when again setting up like the beginning scene of a second part, when it's like, oh, and then suddenly like people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's like I thought one of them was going to pull out like a canister of oil,
Yeah.
and then like tease that in some way.
What I got from that episode was that they were all attacked, basically by masked. I don't know what they were.
Killer.
Ghosts, demons, whatever.
Tommy,
Tommy,
same name as from
he was
Friday
killed,
the 13th.
and then he was taken over, or whatever happened to him. So, yeah, because they killed him, didn't they? Someone who killed him originally.
Well, no, so the nurse tried to kill him.
Yeah,
And she was like, she is the same woman from 1994, isn't she? She's the woman that is handed over in the house.
Yeah,
it is. Which is why I thought that was the twist. But anyway, so basically, it doesn't matter. They didn't give a shit. They didn't explain it. So why should you care? Like, you know, they basically, she tries to kill Tommy, and she basically says to Tommy, "You're gonna die tonight." And it's the same premise as in the first one, as if you're like, what is it? It's like if you're like attacked or like cursed by the witch, basically, you become the new victim. Like the victim as in like you're the new killer.
yeah.
And so Tommy becomes the killer of the Nightwing camp.
Nightwing, yeah,
Nightwing,
Camp
yeah.
Nightwing, yeah.
But it's ironic because Tommy obviously is the name of the hero of Friday the 13th. So, Friday the 13th Part 2.
Just on that, I just bought this. I'm just holding up my new copy of Friday the 13th. There's 8 on there. So I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm going to start all them again. So, and I've got the other 2 on order as well. So there are 10, I think, isn't there? Potentially Friday the 13th, I think.
Well, yeah,
Including the new ones, yeah.
I was going to say
Maybe
if you
a new-
include Jason X, and if you include Jason Goes to New York,
Yeah, Jason.
and if you include Jason versus Freddy,
Yeah, there's that one. There's a few. Anyway, that's on my list to start this week and finish by next week. Right? I think there's 10 of them. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So
no, please digress.
yeah.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
So this was the better film, but it literally was, and it reminded me of Sleepaway Camp or Friday the 13th, with a killer running around killing everyone. And there were maybe there were some funnier moments.
Well, they tried to play off of who they tried to play off as well, that dynamic of like who's the sister, like
Yeah.
which because I know is it? I might get her name right. Is it Karen Gilligan, who is from Community?
Oh yeah,
plays
yeah.
the
No, it's Gillian
Yeah.
Jacobs, isn't it?
Oh,
Gillian Jacobs.
wow! Who the hell?
Yeah,
Karen
Karen
Gilligan.
I like her.
Interesting.
Okay. Karen Gilligan. Well,
Gillian
sorry.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
No, she says in part 1, she's like, sorry, at the beginning of part 2, she says, "Oh, me and my sister were at this camp, and I got away, but my sister died." And they play it off as like, which sister is she?
Yeah,
but it's quite obvious who the sister is.
But it is funny. It's funny as well because I mean, to be fair, I was sort of questioning which of the sisters you were talking about. But what makes me laugh is that how did Gillian Jacobs' character tell that story to the two people and make it ambiguous that she wasn't that of which sister she was? Because they ended with them going, "Wait, you're Ziggy?" And it's how would she have told that story without them knowing?
I was so confused because I was watching it with Rob and he was like, "Oh, so she's the other sister," and I was like, "What are you on about?" Because in my head, this whole time, I knew that she was Ziggy, and I don't know why I clocked that and just didn't realise that they were trying to play it the other way.
Same here.
I was the same. Halfway through, I was like, "Wait, no, but she's Ziggy." And when they got again, spoilers just in case, but when they get like brutally stabbed and axed at the end, I mean, you'll see watching one sister literally get axed.
Yeah.
In certain places where you're like, she's dead, and then you're getting someone else getting stabbed in the stomach, and you're like, she should be dead, but she's more realistically going to be alive. And then the film tries to do that very clever thing where it's like, oh, which one is it? Oh, it's Ziggy, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
right. Yeah, like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and there was also a weird thing with music in this.
Continue. I'm going to do a Ewan.
He's going to go to the toilet. Okay. Yeah. So there's this weird thing with music where it's like I think since like Guardians of the Galaxy came out, a lot of movies have tried to have really good soundtracks, or at least
there were some good
lists.
tunes in this.
There were some good tunes, but the problem is that they do this thing which a lot of movies do nowadays, in that they just literally just put the track on and they don't sort of utilize it in any sort of interesting way. So with Guardians of the Galaxy, they did use it in an interesting way and it was great. But with here, they just literally just put on Nirvana's "The Man Who Started the World" as she's getting ready, and it's just like there's no it doesn't fit with the pace or anything like that. There's so many other things like they put Buzzcocks on and they put David Bowie on, and it's kind of like there's no sort of emotional connection. It reminded me of like when you do Instagram stories and you're only allowed to use 15 seconds of a copyrighted song. It reminded me of that at times when they use music in these movies. Yeah, let's just use 15 seconds of Moon Age Daydream and not make it relevant to any of the tone at all.
I know what you're talking about already, and I missed it. It's just the music, isn't it? Where it comes in, where it's like, oh look at this old track, and then it plays for a bit.
Now, I don't want to denigrate it entirely because there are some good and ideal music choices. So 1978 ends with David Bowie's version of "The Man Who Sold the World," which I think does fit well. And there are a few Pixies tracks in there which do actually do very well, and especially at the end with "Gigantic" and I can't remember the other Pixies song. It's on Doolittle, but I can't remember the name.
I know which one you mean though.
But for the most part, it's literally just plastering in classic songs, which loads of movies do nowadays, and it really frustrates me because I was saying Lawrence before that is basically since Guardians of the Galaxy that movies have tried to.
I was going to say James Gunn has basically like done that.
Yeah,
so
but
he's like, well, not done it, but he's reintroduced it.
Yeah, exactly, but he did it well, I think. Whereas a lot of movies that came after it, so like Atomic Blonde, for instance, just literally just puts in tracks, just well-known tracks, and doesn't put them tonally well, And I think they've done the same here, and it's kind of it works sometimes, but on the whole, it just doesn't really.
So we're gonna start wrapping this up for this this film anyway before we move on to other things. So 1666. I think the whole episode confused me pretty much, or film, whatever it is, and I didn't really get it that much. A lot of it didn't make sense. A lot of it, the language, as I said earlier, didn't make sense. And it just confused me, and I was like, "What the fuck was that all about?" Really. So I don't know what else.
Short,
I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's just basically like reveals that big twist, which is like the good guy. You know, the generic good guy.
Which was
is actually the bad guy. Well,
good.
So
G-O-double-
literally, Sheriff Good.
Yeah.
Who's Solomon Good at the first.
So so basically his bloodline was like they had killed the witch, and he basically this was before he had killed the witch, I believe, but like he basically had served a deal with the devil that would give him like the best of lives through his generations. But what they had to do is they had to serve up a name of somebody who would be the killer for each generation. And so each generation has a random killer, and it's because of them. And it's to, allow his brother to be the mayor of Shadyville.
That just sounds like a
Shady
bunch
town.
of horseshit to me, really.
The whole, well, this is what I mean. You've summed it up perfectly.
So, like,
the whole trilogy is just a bunch of bullshit.
So, I did like the middle one. I don't know why.
The middle one was all right.
I
The
found
middle
it
one was all
entertaining.
right.
Like, out of the three, I found that quite entertaining.
It's the best one. It's the best one out of the three.
But-
and if you're gonna watch one, watch that one.
According to
because
Rotten,
it's the most
it's the worst.
entertaining.
It's the worst according to Rotten. So I don't get it. Maybe it's not horror
It's
fans.
because people. No, it's because people watch the first part and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then they watch the second part and they're like, "That didn't give me anything." And then they watch the last part and they're like, "There's the twist." And I'm
And the
sorry, but
explanations.
like, it's like I'm sorry, but the best made was the second one. It had the most heart, if any.
But you're looking at
It had
6
the best
boners.
characters.
6 boners on that, according to the public, and 9 boners for the last one.
I think it's because it was considered a midway point, which is like, when you deal with when you're dealing with this trilogy, and again, like, this is my own interpretation on this, but when you're dealing with this trilogy, part 1 is Act 1, part 2 is Act 2, and part 3 is Act 3. In a normal film, you would get that in all of your film. You get Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 for this is like the setup, which, if it was done so much better, I guess, for me personally, I'd be like, "Oh, intriguing." But I think a lot of people don't like part 2, and I can only guess it's because it's the fun and games that doesn't offer a lot of answers. It just offers a lot of more questions with good, back and forth slasher horror. Whereas part 3 then goes, "Oh, let me answer every single one of your questions." And so I think a lot of people have watched part 1 and gone, "Oh my god, this is so great." Watched part 2 and gone, this isn't giving me anything. This is just a backstory part. And then part 3, everyone's gone, "Oh, this is the story of the witch, the answers part." So just don't watch it. Just don't watch it. Like, that's the simple answer.
Can we get to bonus? So, like, should we just do, one big boner for them all, or like 3 small boners?
Oh, that's okay. Hold on, I'm gonna have to think about this.
I would prefer one
Which
big
one are we
boner,
doing?
personally, but
I
So we
prefer
do one big boner, right? So I give it 5.
Right.
Yeah.
5.
And that's the middle film's got it up there. So I'd go 5. Jess? Because you haven't said too much on this, so I am presuming you.
No, I've just been letting the guys talk.
Yeah,
No,
I've just been ranting.
Yeah, Larry's just doing Larry, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I did notice some of the technical errors and things. The second one, the beginning of that, I was really put off because of the lighting and the colour grading between shots in the first 5 minutes was awful. I don't know if anyone noticed it.
Was this the second one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, with the like whole tree scene and stuff, just the back and forth shots were completely different. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. So I would probably give it a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, because I was never exactly bored. I think I paused it and played on my phone a few times, but I was never bored, but I was disinterested in that I didn't really care about any of the characters. I didn't really care if they succeeded, and also with that kind of Easter egg franchisal mindset, there are so many moments where I mean, you could put it down to horror film ambiguity if you really want to, but it's that thing of, okay, we're just being introduced to a monster that we know nothing about. Okay, there's a flashback to when the monster killed this person. And at the time I was like, okay, this is interesting because it's ambiguous, but it's not really. It's they're just setting up for more films and TV shows that are coming in the future. But aside from that, I still quite enjoyed it, even though it wasn't that funny and wasn't that scary. So I think I'll probably give it 6 bonus. 6 bonus for me.
6 large boners. Larry.
Here we go.
He don't want to do it.
No, I'm trying to do it in like a
not even a semi.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to. It's teetering between a 4 and a 5 because I would say 5 because the cinematography, the audio, other than the ADR in parts, and the general filmmaking is fine. Like, it's not, you wouldn't watch this and go, oh, I cannot physically watch this. But part 2, after the scene that Jess was talking about, like when it cuts into the camp, I actually think is like enjoyable. Like I found that when I was watching that, I was like, oh, okay, this is a throwback. It's very clearly a throwback. But I can't excuse part 1 and part 3. Like, I just felt like in part 1, somebody had watched Scream and went, we're going for Scream. And then in part 2, they went, we're going for Friday the 13th. And then in part 3, they went, we're going for The Witch. So I'm not allowed to give 0.5s, am I?
Yeah, give it 5.5. Semi.
No, I'm gonna give it 4.5 because it is competent. It is competently made, and it's not poorly made. Like, there is a good crew on this film who know how to make film, and it is worth watching for that. But if you're wanting story, good fucking Christ!
Go watch. Go watch Birdemic.
Just read the book. Just read Fear. Like, I don't know if it's called Fear Street.
I don't know.
I looked up Fear Street books earlier, and there's like a billion.
Yeah, there's so many. That's what I mean.
50.
There's so many of them. So read the books, and I'm sure you will read the books and go, wow, this is great.
Yeah, they are called Fear Street, all of them.
Yeah, I think
this will become the new Stranger Things. There'll be 3 more episodes next year, then 3 more episodes the next year, then 3 more the next year,
and don't forget the spin-offs in between.
I don't think they do. I think R.L. Stein will just be like, I'm going to remake Goosebumps, and then everyone's childhood's just going to go out the window.
Okay, so we're looking at what? Round about 5 bonus for this one. It was over 6 hours of watching, but we did have a month to do it in, I suppose. Well, a week. Anyway, shall we move on to what we watched this week?
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Do you want me to start?
Fear Street.
Do you want me to, yeah. Do you want me to start? Like pretty much this is over the last probably couple of weeks. So The Purge was on offer. 4 of them. Okay, on iTunes. I think I paid about a tenner. But I'm going to watch them. Now, I was surprised I hadn't seen the third and the fourth one, so I started with the first one again, and I was surprised how much I really liked it. Really surprised. So watched all of them, and I can honestly say that the first three I thought were excellent. I don't know if you guys have seen The Purge, or you know what The Purge is. Basically, in America, it becomes a law that for 12 hours, once a year, you can kill who you like. Why? Well, they just wanted to cull some of the bad people out there, I suppose. So I watched all four, really enjoyed it. I think I've got the fifth one lined up to watch tonight. So what are your thoughts, Larry? Did you hate The Purge? Because I think you do. I think by looking at you now, you've got views on it. But have you watched them more than once?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be really simple on this. I like the first one, and I think the premise worked for the first one, and I think it's actually very much a creepy home invasion film where the premise outside of that extends to what your imagination. With the later films, they take the premise a bit too far. That's just my opinion, because when you think about it, who would ever agree to that?
What were they called?
And so the first
Summit Fathers or something.
Yeah, so the first one, Rick and Morty. If you watch Rick and Morty do a hilarious piss take of it, where they're like, "This planet just purges." Like they're just like, "Oh, it's the purge, Morty." It's like, let's get involved because who the fuck cares? It's like, and that's the joke of it, is that like when you watch the first film, it actually I think is really effective because it's a home invasion film where it goes, "There's a purge, but make it up in your head." Whereas the later films, and especially when they're like purge anarchy, it's like it just becomes
But I think the first one is but I think the first one as well is far more kind of, I don't know, it's more politically and sort of nihilistically chilling in the sort of, you know, because it sort of opens up ideas about, you know, whether man has an innate sense of violence inside him that he has to sort of or inside them that they have to quash, and it's about, you know, violence in America as well, and you see that sort of politics like stream through. But yeah, as long as that, I think the first one is definitely the best one. I think that it carries that off the most effectively. But the next one's just
ratings, all of them, I think. If you look at Rotten,
they're not bad. They're not bad films. I will say they are they are all well made. It's just for me personally, the first film, like it's the same as The Strangers. It reminds me a little bit of that, where it's like home invasion, like. Oh, what's going on outside the walls? Whereas the later films really delve into the, you know, the extended story, which I think does let it down a bit. That's just but that's just me. If you like The Purge, please, you know, like The Purge.
Yeah, like The Purge. I enjoyed it, but like, Jess, you seen it?
I've seen the first one.
Okay.
I think I've seen a bit of the second one.
Yeah, there's just literally the second one's a bit more of the same, but outside. The third one is, well, if you're up for election and that, you're not protected anymore, because that was part of the rules where if you're a government.
Is that the third one?
Yeah, the third one.
Yeah, wasn't that the most Trumpian one?
Yeah, am I missing one? What's the? Am I getting the fourth and the third mixed up?
The second one's
they were similar, to be fair.
The second one's anarchy. Yeah. Third one's election year, and then fourth one's the first purge.
That's the prequel,
right? I'm getting two mixed up.
Which was, I found hard going at times, but then it ended really well. Like the last act, I thought was really good. So the next thing I watched, I've got a little box set sent to me. Because one of the worst films apparently rated out there is Troll 2. You ever seen Troll 2?
Oh my god!
Yeah. So now I haven't watched it yet.
That's a quote
saving
from
it.
by the way.
So I've got the Blu-ray pack. So I watched Troll with my middle one, and we actually really liked that. That was quite funny, as in a lot of kind of like Gremlins or the puppeteering kind of shit, and it's absolute mental.
I love both of them.
And I really liked Troll. So we're going to watch the second one soon.
Get prepared for that line.
Yeah, I watched.
Just when that comes up, when that comes
I
up,
can't wait to watch it.
you'll know.
I'm waiting
You'll
for
know.
it. But it's got nothing to do with Troll, is it? Second one.
Kind of like it does, but it just takes a very curve where you're just like, oh, okay, well, this is where we're going with it. But just wait for oh my god. I know you'll just quote that from when you next
that'll
watch
be
it.
next podcast. I would have seen that. So next one, Shudder, The Boy Behind the Door. I'm waiting for you to watch it, Larry, so we can have a chat about it. I think it's
I haven't seen it yet.
I think it's really good.
List.
So I won't mention too much, but I watched Super 8 with my youngest, which is a great film. We had loads of fun with that. Have you seen that, Jess?
I've been meaning to watch it for years, and for some reason I just haven't.
It's on my iTunes.
Jess, you'll love it.
It's on my
so
iTunes
good.
enjoyable,
account. So it's on there, which is a story about some kids making a movie,
Yeah.
and then
This was pre-Stranger Things, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yes, it was.
Which is quite interesting. Yeah.
It's very it feels very like Steven Spielberg, which is why Jess, I think you'll love it because it has that kind of like sensibility to it, which kind of invokes Jurassic Park, E.T.,
Nice.
but in a more like adventurous way.
Yeah.
It's a great film. Little one loved it. We sat there and watched it. And the last thing, really, there are other bits and pieces I've watched, but I watched Blood Red Sky. I think is that on Netflix? It's like vampire on an airplane thing.
Yeah.
Heard about that?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
It's worth.
That was fucking shit.
What got some pleasure from it,
when you have a premise of a film on a plane and you're trying to say, oh, terrorists are taking over for it, I'd rather not have the twist said to me in 5 seconds. I'd rather know that, like, oh, how the terrorists going to take over the plane, how the survivors going to survive. No, just tell me that they're vampires and just fuck me. Sorry, did I ruin that for you? Don't worry, it's in the description.
Vampire on a plane.
Vampires on a plane.
I didn't even finish that. I left the last 10 minutes because as soon as the beginning of the film opened with the main character's kid being taken off the plane, and they were like, and Kev knows what I'm talking about with this, when he gets taken off the plane and they're like, what happened to your mother? I was like, well, I already know, she's a vampire. So everyone on that fucking plane's just screwed. And then they cut to the beginning and they're like, whoa, what's going on with the mother? She has to take loads of drugs. And I'm like, she's a vampire. You've told me. I'm like, so don't waste your time.
I thought there were fun elements. And it kept me engaged. There was a bit of... I was on the phone for a bit of it, but I preferred that to what we just watched.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. If you definitely, definitely in quality and in effects, in like the gore, in the setting, and in how it's done, go for that one. But if you've got a plethora of films to choose from. You don't have to just pick these two.
Right, last thing I want to say, gaming wise, I've started playing Tomb Raider, so like the remake. So I'm having a bit of fun with that at the moment. So all good. We've been watching Larry this week, and we're at 1 hour 8 minutes, so we're doing well, right?
Okay.
And we haven't decided on next week's film either, so have a think about that, one of you.
Okay, because of my terrible ranting, I'll speed through this very quickly. So, on Amazon Prime, that I would suggest to everyone to watch is a film called Howl.
Ooh.
It is very much in the vein of Dog Soldiers, but it is a British horror film set on a London train going to... I can't remember, but they, I don't want to spoil too much, but all I will say is that if you want good effects, good horror, good acting, which I was very surprised about because it was made quite a while ago. I presume in 2008 or 2009. But it's very good. I also watched Meat Train.
Oh, I love that. Vinnie Jones.
Yep, Vinnie Jones.
The Wimbledon
Sounds
footballer.
very sexual, Lawrence.
Yeah.
No. So again, that film, I'm not going to spoil the twist for anyone because honestly, the twist is what made me actually go, "Oh shit, this is more than meets the eye on
As
this."
we know, we love a twist on this podcast, don't we? Love
Exactly,
a twist.
and this is one of the twists that I would actually recommend people to go and watch it for because the twist does come out of nowhere, and when it does hit, you're like, I did not see that coming. I generally was like, what could this whole plot mean?
I might watch that
And
tonight.
it stars Bradley Cooper before he hit into fame as a photographer. So
What channel was that on?
Go watch that.
Was that on?
I watched it
demand?
online, but I watched it online, but look, guys, it wasn't that hard.
Probably on Amazon somewhere.
I watched old piece of fucking shit. Don't waste your time. Long story short, the twist is bullshit. Everything you're thinking, if you're going to watch it and you think, oh wow, what does this beach mean? Fuck off, it doesn't mean shit.
So next week's episode is old.
Look,
We go cinema, Jess, and watch it next week. Right?
I nearly watched it the other night. I went to the cinema just to see what was on, and I didn't go in the end.
Jess, don't waste your, in a serious. If I can give a genuine serious review for anyone who's debating seeing it, is honestly this. It is an odd film because M. Night Shyamalan does some good horrors sometimes. We can all agree that Sixth Sense, is great, right? But with this film, the comedy is just off. Like, there are comedic moments where it doesn't fit. There are characters who, when you're there, sat there watching it, and you go, "This is really serious." I've heard some big news of a character development. A character will crack a joke and be like, "Whoa, look, whoa!" M. Night Shyamalan. He stars in a lot of his own films, as you know. In this film, he just gives himself a main role. Fantastic. Thank you. Not an actor. And he serves as and this is not a spoiler, but he serves as the bearer and main substitute for the twist. And I wish I could just say now, but I know people here want to watch it, so I won't. But all I was going to say is that anything you've got in your head is better. I was so disappointed. I really thought he was going to pull out of the bag and surprise me, but instead he goes for the obligatory, boring, and you sit there and you're like, that. But there's so many things that don't make sense with that, and yet he pretends as though right. You've all seen The Happening, right?
That's shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ages and ages ago.
Jess, don't. It's a waste of fucking time.
Do it, Jess. Do it. Robin love that.
Right. The Happening. As Kevin, you have seen it, The Happening. Do you remember when that end came and you were like, what's the twist? And they went, yeah, it's this kind of thing. And you were like, okay, that is what this does, but in a worse way, where it doesn't just go, and this is not a spoiler because this is not the twist. It doesn't just go, it's the beach. It goes, huh? And you'll go, thanks. And then I watched The Suicide Squad,
Nice.
which was a 10 out of 10 film. James Gunn smashed it. I think that it was so much better than the old Suicide Squad, which can, quite frankly, it's just bad. I'm sorry if anyone likes it.
It's a bad film.
It's just edited horribly, simply put. But this film was so good. If you love James Gunn's old work, Sliver, and what was this superhero film? It was called Super, wasn't it? Just Super. It's very gory, very disgusting, but has good heart and story. This pulls it out of the bag, and I'm not going to say too much, but it's gory as hell.
Is it an 18?
There's so much
or 15? What is it?
It's R rated in
okay.
America, but over here that usually means 15.
Oh, okay.
I think it is a 15. Yeah.
But all I'll say is that it's gory. it's like Sliver. Like, there is so much gore. Characters, I'm not going to say who, but characters do die left, right, and center who you're not expecting. And I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised.
I think I will go.
That's
and see
all I
that
watched
next week.
I did watch Loki as well, but I'll let someone else take that one
Oh yeah,
because I ran way too much.
You're in
films.
Yeah, so I mean, mainly the stuff I've been watching is stuff to prepare for what's coming out later this year. So, for example, the Sopranos prequel is coming out, I think, in October. So I did an epic rewatch of the Sopranos, which was amazing. I mean, literally, probably my favorite series.
Is that on
of all
anywhere,
time.
or did you watch that?
I watched it. It's all on Sky as like a box set.
Okay,
I assume
that's
it'll
all
be
I
on
need to know.
Amazon as well.
No,
but
we've got Sky. I want to
Yeah.
rewatch it because we've talked about that.
I mean, it's also funny that I found out, because I've been watching loads of TV recently. I've noticed that like the most successful TV shows either go the extreme of nihilism or humanism. So I rewatched The Sopranos, and then I rewatched Sex Education because the third season of that is coming out at the end of September, and I really love Sex Education, and it's so humanistic and so interesting and very zeitgeisty. And I mean, basic premise is that the 16-year-old son of a licensed sex therapist decides to deal out therapy to his students at sort of secondary school. And it's such a, I mean, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's a very popular series. Please watch it because it's just so wonderful and lovely and really modern as well. So I've rewatched that. And there's also Succession, which I've started rewatching, which is about basically following a very Rupert Murdoch-y family, who are also the head of this very big business empire. And again, it's sort of the utter depravity of humanity that is shown in that series is staggering. But it's such a great. Just in terms of the dialogue, the insults which are flung about are just so beautifully crafted. It's from the same writer, Jesse Armstrong, who did a lot of British comedies like Peep Show and so on. But he also did The Thick of It, which also has a very similar sweary dialogue, which is just so they're just so creatively crafted, these insults, that you just wonder how someone's come up with them. So yeah, I've been rewatching that. And also just a last one, Baptiste, which came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
I've been watching that with my dad.
It's such a great series. I think that there are certain points where it's clear that COVID got in the way of certain big set pieces, but other than that, it's such a thrilling, interesting series. And it's interesting to me because a lot of people went on and on about Mayor of Easttown earlier this year, and I was fine with Mayor of Easttown. I thought it was fine, but I didn't love it, is what I'm saying. And the main reason I didn't love it is because I just thought it was the same as everything else. And it's weird to me that people aren't going on more about Baptiste, because I think Baptiste, at least this series, is so much. It is one of the most interesting detective dramas that have come out this year. And
have you seen Bad Boys?
I haven't. No, you mean the movie?
The first one.
No, I haven't seen Bad Boys. No.
Oh right, so the main actor in Baptiste is the villain.
Oh really?
Checky I was so surprised by that because he's quite old in Bad Boys. So when I saw him in this, I was like, "Fuck me!" I was like, "Jesus Christ!"
Yeah. So yeah, go watch Baptiste if you haven't already. It's great. So yeah,
right.
that's me.
Yes.
I haven't had much time to watch anything.
Yes, come on. I know you're working. We all are, but we got to make the
I get
time.
home at like gone 7 o'clock. I eat and I go to sleep. That's about
Yeah.
I watched the final season of Atypical, which I really enjoyed. I think the comedy in that's really good. But
that's about it.
other than that, I've started rewatching Dexter.
Oh, I need to do that. I need
That's
to
also coming. That's the new season for that is also coming out.
Yeah,
this year.
I'm very excited.
I've not seen an episode of Dexter.
Oh, it's
brilliant.
Great. Has it dated at all, Jess? Like the series? Is it not?
I don't think so. I'm only probably 5 episodes into the first season. again. I've watched it quite a few times, to be fair.
What's that on?
What's it?
It's on Sky. It's definitely on Sky, but it's,
Yeah. I think I'm watching it on Now, which is got
Now
Sky
TV,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's really good. I'm very excited for a new season because the last
Hopefully, I
season
put it
was
right.
diabolical.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you watch
I don't
the?
know, I
Did you
didn't
watch
mind
the
it.
final? Did you watch the final? What did you think of the final scene of, season of Loki?
Loki.
Yeah,
I really liked it. Yeah.
yeah.
I really liked it too.
Yeah. And there's like TikTok at the moment is just Loki memes and stuff for me. And all there's obviously that comparison with WandaVision, that one scene that links up
Yes.
with
Yeah.
that one scene. Yep. If you haven't watched it,
Do you think that's gonna be an actual thing, or do you think that's just
I don't
people
know. Although I did
linking it?
notice. I don't want to. I want to talk about it, but spoilers.
No,
Okay,
go
Loki
for it.
spoilers. So don't. There's. Where they go down into the area where they think they're meeting the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that aren't the people.
Yeah.
The symbols on the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why Loki can't use magic. Yeah, is because of the symbols from WandaVision are on the walls.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I saw a video and you can see the symbols in the background on some of the walls and stuff. Which would
Wait, so
explain...
hold on. So again, spoilers again, just in case if someone's listening to this or like watching it and they're like, I have not seen Loki. We're gonna go probably into a little bit of depth with this.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean though? Like, because if Wanda's stuff is on the walls of that,
Well, it's witchcraft stuff, right?
yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does that mean that like, because Doctor Strange has a film coming out, obviously like
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness, and then we've got the new Spider-Man, which is supposed to, as people are theorizing, is going to have the two other Spider-Men show up. So how do they link? Because Loki, the way Loki ended with Kang the Conqueror's statue, proper there like that, and then it goes Loki season 2. Are they gonna just continue that for season 2, or are they gonna link that with Multiverse of Madness? That's my big question.
I don't know how the series are going to cross over with the films. That's what I'm kind of.
Well, because
waiting on.
Loki's now, I forget, Tom Hiddleston is confirmed for Multiverse of Madness now.
Okay.
So he is going to appear in it. So then I'm like, wait, what the? I'm like,
presumably
whoa.
Wanda's going to be in it.
Yeah. No, she's confirmed. She's the main character.
Right,
We lost Lawrence.
Carry on. Hopefully, he come
I
back.
know he's back.
Is he
He's
there?
back. He's
Hopefully.
he's sort of back.
I'm kind of back. Am I still
Okay, he's
talking?
back.
Yeah, we're going to
you're
start
back.
wrapping this up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm
So-
hoping it all links up with the ending of WandaVision and obviously Loki.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah,
make
Wanda's
m-
supposed to be a major character in it.
yeah,
Multiverse of
yeah.
Madness.
Maybe it would
Yeah.
make the end of WandaVision better. That's what I'll say.
Right.
Yeah.
Next week, what are we going to... Well, whether it's next week after, what are we going to watch? Are we
Alt.
going to... Well, I'd quite happily
We
go-
can do. I'd love to hear your
go to the
opinions.
cinema, but like, obviously you and probably have to go to the cinema, and
You just don't have to go to the cinema to watch it.
yeah,
I mean, I've quite wanted to.
but we do
rewatch,
need to go to the cinema, don't we? We're all
Yeah.
Biden citizens.
Hey, I love the cinema, and the cinema does need anyone who can go to the cinema, go
Or-
see Suicide Squad, go see other stuff. But
See the
when you're
Sparks
going to go
Brothers.
see old, yeah, exactly. But when you're going to go see old,
Yeah,
don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
know
we
what
can
you're
go to a
saying.
cinema Saturday if.
Yeah, we could do afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all meeting for dinner.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
we could do this
I mean,
empty man.
Empty
Why did we
Man.
do? Why did we do a 3? Why did we do a 3? We had 3, didn't we? We had the Witch,
The empty man.
we had Old now,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then the Empty Man.
So we're gonna do 3
It's
movies.
just like the Fear Street trilogy, except
Okay.
better.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be better. Well, all right. We're going watch.
Well, not old.
we'll go and watch old Jess. Right? Or
Yeah.
so I'd rather go and watch Suicide Squad now.
Yeah,
So,
same actually.
maybe we
I'm
do.
not going to lie to you. I'd agree with
Right,
you.
next-
Let's go see Suicide Squad.
Let's do the
Yeah.
Witch versus the Empty Man. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
much easier. And I've already watched it, both of them.
Nice.
You watched Empty Man, Jess?
Nope.
It's on Disney, I think.
Okay, cool.
All right. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's the Bones Horror Pod. Facebook, Bones Horror Podcast. You want to email us, it's boneshorrorpod@gmail.com. Instagram, Jess, what is it? Is it Bones Horror Pod?
Bones Horror Pod.
We haven't
we
had
need to
much
give a
on
shout
that.
out.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yes, there's one shout out that we need to
Yeah.
do.
Larry's
Yeah.
given me a lot of content as well for promotions tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just so much.
I don't know
shouting.
what that
Yeah.
means. It's just me just ranting.
I would like
I'm
to-
sorry if I've hurt your ears, and I'm sorry if I've abused your eyes.
I'd like to give a shout out to the final guys. Keep doing what you're doing. We love it. What
And
else?
wait, sorry, I've got it down. Dejara. Sorry if I
Dejara,
butchered
Dad.
your name.
Right,
Jara.
from Sweden. Thanks for your support, man. We
Yes.
love you on the Bones Horror. But come on, man. Come on here one day. We'll have a
We
chat.
do love the support.
Yeah,
we do love
we
the
love
support.
it.
It was a nice comment. It was a nice comment as well. Like introduces us back.
He's
into
been
this.
very supportive. So, sorry it's been a month. Hopefully it won't be a month again. We are back. We had our little summer break. So we will be back next week with our episode. Was it 58 now? I think it's 58. Yeah, 58. We should do The Village. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Did you
I
like
haven't
that
seen
one? So, like, we'll be back next week with The Witch versus The Empty Man. Yeah? Should be fun, shouldn't it?
Cool.
So, we will see you next week. What's going
He's
on?
just he's spraying me with water. He's just
Oh,
stood there for ages threatening me
Rob.
with a water bottle.
See you later, guys.
No. Stop.
It's really accurate.
Oh, dear. Thanks, everyone.
I'll put the weapon away. Put the weapon away.
Stop it! You're ignorant.